San Diego Global Knowledge University.
Welcome. In this class we will explore how in recent years the total quality approach has gained great relevance in key sectors such as business, education, and government. This movement has strongly promoted continuous improvement and customer service as fundamental pillars to achieve competitiveness and organizational success. Throughout the first part, we will analyze how concepts like international ISO standards, customer-centered management strategies, and quality-oriented organizational models have transformed the way organizations operate. We will also see how training and development play an essential role in the pursuit of customer satisfaction. In the second part, we will take a step into the present and future. We will reflect on whether these practices are still necessary, how they can be applied sustainably, and most importantly, how they can be efficiently financed to achieve real impact. And finally, we will address a key question. How can the investment and use of resources be structured within a modern organization to reach or maintain quality standards that allow them to compete globally? Make sure to stay until the conclusions at the end of the second part of the video, where we highlight the most important points. Let's begin. The difference between total quality management when it was launched in the 1980s in the Western United States and how it has evolved so far in this century lies in the fact that the high levels of productivity and product reliability of Japanese corporations dominated global markets. All major Western countries were defending themselves from this wave and trying to offset the resulting trade deficits. Additionally, there was rampant inflation in both the United States and Europe. In response to this, many global corporations recognized that there were two important actions they needed to take. First, to evaluate their minimum productivity standards, and second, to make more effective use of their human resources. Both actions required fundamental changes in management processes, leading many companies to adopt the concept of total quality management. As a result, over the last 20 years, we have seen organizations around the world strive in the search for new productivity standards, empowerment in productive processes, and customer satisfaction through the implementation of total quality management, with varying degrees of success. What is different about today's environment compared to the 1980s? Much has been written and discussed about the new global economy, so I will not repeat what we all already know. Let's simply acknowledge that the global economy has become increasingly interconnected over the past 3 decades for various reasons. One reason is that the number of industrialized countries has grown due to reductions in cross-border trade barriers. The removal of many of these restrictions has also created greater consumer openness to foreign goods and products worldwide. In turn, these new conditions have generated a demand for skilled workers on a global scale and a highly competitive environment that is already producing higher incomes for a growing number of workers. The most important driving factor of the new economy is digital technology, which has brought us a whole new level of adaptive capacity and precision, both in the products we use and in their production. This digital technology is redefining the productive world, creating new industries, and increasing consumer participation, not only in production, but also in service delivery. It allows consumers to take part in the design of electronic goods and services tailored to the needs and preferences of each market. This shift, empowering the consumer, is the key central element of the new economy. Today, Every organization operates within two dimensions of this new world. One is the physical dimension of resources that can be seen and touched, which we call the marketplace. But we now also have to compete in a new virtual dimension created by strategic information, which we call the market space. In the traditional marketplace, information is seen merely as a supporting element in the process of adding value. However, in the market space, information itself has become the new source of value. The challenge of the new economy, then, is to consciously focus on the two principles that guide value creation in this new landscape. The physical value chain, composed of a linear sequence of joint activities with defined inputs and outputs, and the new virtual value chain, which is non-linear, a matrix of possible inputs and outputs that can be accessed and distributed through a wide variety of channels. The integration of these physical and virtual chains is the core element that is transforming the current economic environment, and consequently, how our organizations function today. All of this can be understood in terms of the four key factors that drive the cause and effect phenomenon of the new economy: technology, speed, globalization, and customer value and satisfaction. Let's first talk about technology. Gordon Moore, former director of Intel, characterized the new economy with a phrase now known as Moore's Law. The capacity of semiconductor technology doubles every 18 months. Consider the impact of this fact. Digital technology serves as the foundation of the structures within the new economy. As we build new economic activities, we trigger an entire renegotiation of work cultures, design new systems and industries, and most importantly, forge new relationships. This is what makes the new economy so fascinating. Digital technology is reducing information processing costs, further shrinking the profit margins of many traditional products. In turn, this creates new, less expensive and more user-friendly distribution channels, such as specialty stores and the internet, requiring organizations to become more aware of their productive value and more focused on providing customer solutions. Today's high-tech products are no longer passive, but interactive. A product's functions are no longer autonomous, but increasingly dependent on the user. In other words, what a product does is not as important as what the user does with the product. One result of all this is that we now place a high value on speed. In the new global economy, how quickly an organization can design and develop new products is essential. Accelerating innovation processes has become a priority for best productivity practices, aligning with the new concept of design process maturity, ensuring that a product or service performs as intended. Product innovation speed is driven by the application of quality management practices. Over the past decade, a new set of work values has emerged that recognizes both rapid product development and the application of quality management practices. The more deeply embedded these values are within an organization, the greater the success of its rapid product development projects. The most relevant values should be management based on measurable realities, meaning the use of objective data as the foundation for decision-making. Process emphasis, referring to the extent to which the organization measures, manages, and evaluates the performance of its work processes. Long-term orientation, which involves planning for the future rather than focusing solely on short-term results. Continuous improvement and learning, meaning the constant advancement and refinement of all products and processes. Globalization is the most obvious of the harsh realities of the new economy. In the United States, most executives are convinced that they must now strengthen their international strategies and performance to succeed in the future. A survey conducted among 300 business directors and executives found that more than 70% of them indicated that they urgently needed to improve their current ability to think globally, while 90% recognized that the importance of international clientele is rapidly increasing. Almost all of them also confirmed that foreign competition in their industry would pose an increasing threat to their companies within the next decade, if it was not already doing so. On one hand, with the reduction of trade barriers, more organizations are now forced to manage their product development and delivery processes with an international perspective. In fact, the ability to successfully introduce new products simultaneously into multiple international markets has become a crucial element of global business strategy. Perfect timing can offer a practical advantage, as developing products for various markets from the outset eliminates duplicate efforts and their associated costs, making these products more competitive. Additionally, by launching new products simultaneously in multiple markets and countries, companies are reducing the risk of early entry by competitors who traditionally observe a product launch in one market of interest and then respond by introducing an imitation product in another country. On the other hand, global organizations are convinced that they will soon face significant challenges from those who have been hesitant or opposed to globalization, similar to the Luddite movement of the 19th century. Commerce is no longer just about buying things, it is about interacting in different ways between people, and this is happening everywhere. Customer satisfaction in this new reality has now become the driving force of the new economy. Global productive activity is increasingly shifting its focus from supply to demand. While organizations capture, select, synthesize, and distribute information in the physical or geographical space of their market, they now also feel pressured by the realities of their virtual market space, which requires them to continuously sense and respond to customer desires, rather than simply manufacture and sell products and services. True power or influence is now shifting to customers, not just because they have more choices, better information about products and services, and easier access to suppliers, or because the rigidity of the physical commercial market is disappearing, allowing customers to switch providers with little effort and low cost, but because today's consumers seek access to commercial value that is easily distributed and highly adaptable, regardless of national borders. Customers are becoming individualized markets, requiring highly differentiated services and transferring commercial influence to themselves. As John McDonald said, new technologies now equip formerly powerless customers with better camouflage, reversing commercial power. The producer, once the hunter, is now the prey. When people think of the cloud economy today, they often imagine the internet, new mobile phones, personal digital assistants, and other devices. However, what the cloud economy truly represents is a new reality of what the customer is. This is already transforming global production businesses. For example, the music industry is now at the mercy of consumers who are doing what was once the domain of studios and publicists, marketing and electronically distributing the music they like. Perhaps we can simply say that this is a violation of copyright and move on, but if we think more carefully about what is really happening, we realize that a group of end users or consumers is challenging the traditional role that music studios, producers, and publicists have played. What truly matters in relation to today's consumers is not their role as product buyers, but their role as users. Any total quality management or TQM strategy relies on 5 key efforts or investments: a support infrastructure composed of experts and inspectors, effective tools and processes to document and measure work processes, educational programs to teach the philosophy, techniques, and procedures of total quality management, reward strategies to motivate productive and desired behavior, extensive communication programs to promote the purpose of total quality, announce the organization's quality achievements, and drive change. The companies that have ventured into adopting total quality have followed one of 2 paths. The first and most common can be called the traditional management method. This consists of the imposition or forced injection of the total quality process onto the existing work culture within an organization. This method has led to more failures because it attempts to change organizational behavior without changing the culture that drives employee behavior. Although the proposed change is initially tolerated, when daily work processes are re-established, the changes are abandoned. Organizations that took this path with their quality programs now find themselves in the new millennium managing a managerial process from the 1980s. The second method can be called the integrative approach. Here, total quality is managed as a new administrative process that refines and revitalizes productive performance processes based on customer requirements. In this method, both executives and employees work together to achieve the organization's goals, viewing total quality as their advantage in outperforming the competition. This integrative approach has been more successful than the traditional method because it balances organizational principles with the practical realities of human resource development. Although organizational productivity principles here are based on the technical application of work processes approved in customer requirements documentation, measurement of productive actions, establishment of clear procedures to ensure results, and replication of successes. The effective utilization of available human resources is what ultimately makes all these achievements possible. The optimization of human resources is based on effective communication of quality processes, the implementation of teamwork skills, shared decision-making, and employee empowerment. The integration of both types of principles creates a management system more focused on customer satisfaction, both in terms of external customer loyalty and internal customer commitment and results. Disciplined organizations that are capable of delegating and that operate aligned with their customers' requirements will be the only ones able to sustain success in light of the challenging demands of the new economy. An essential element in any successful management process is recognizing change as a transitional state. Any change is a process of moving from certain current conditions to new ones, a new desired scenario for the organization. Changing my behavior, let alone the behavior of many people within an organization, does not happen as easily as flipping a switch. In reality, it requires first fully understanding the change toward the new state we want, and then determining the necessary steps to make the transition. It is also essential to understand the benefits of implementing change and to have a clear understanding of what exactly needs to be changed. When an organization fails to recognize that there is a third condition between the current state of things and the desired state, that is, the transition process itself, and minimizes its importance, the change effort usually fails. The assets or strengths essential for successfully implementing total quality today include the following. First and foremost, executives must be genuinely committed to the entire total quality process, as well as personally involved in training and implementation. This also means committing all available and necessary resources to achieve the following. Designating at least one senior executive as responsible for total quality activities within the organization. This person should also act as a consultant and guide for other executives. Depending on the size of the organization, this role may also be required at the divisional or departmental level. Training themselves, their staff, suppliers, and new employees on the use of total quality tools and process applications. This may require hiring external consultants or temporarily assigning internal quality practitioners to develop learning programs, manage training, and monitor work effectiveness. Maintaining an effective communication program that informs all levels about the vision, goals, and progress of the quality project. This should also include opportunities for feedback from staff, suppliers, and consumers to ensure that everyone understands the requirements and lessons learned. Ensuring that the organization's main processes, such as product delivery and customer distribution, are documented and understood. All subordinate work processes should also be documented, and the workflow of these processes should be regularly updated and simplified to ensure efficiency and eliminate waste. Employee involvement is essential for success. When considering a new direction or when customers provide feedback on performance or new business expectations, before taking managerial action, a dialogue should be initiated with the employees involved in the implementation. They should understand, take ownership of, and enthusiastically promote the effort. This requires all executives to understand the broad concept of total quality. The organization's reward systems must be compatible with and support total quality objectives. Do not expect employee enthusiasm if there are no rewards for their efforts. It is difficult to put a price on all of this in general, as it will depend on the size of the organization, the complexity of its work processes, and the dynamics of its industry and markets. A good general rule is that specialists with expertise in quality processes and techniques will always be needed, as well as external inspectors or consultants who can provide an impartial perspective on effectiveness. Some may think that all this emphasis on processes and management applies only to the private business sector. That is not true. A great example is the transformation of Curitiba, the capital of Parana in Brazil, which has been the site of what some have called the most intense urban change ever seen in a city. Beginning in 1971, Curitiba's mayor, Jaime Lerner, launched a series of initiatives to address the city's disorder and pollution. Using process origin charts, the plan aimed to initiate a comprehensive transformation of urban processes, starting with modifying certain behaviors. One example was the launch of a recycling program, educating school-age children on the benefits of waste separation. The children quickly understood that every 50 kilograms of recycled paper saved a tree. They began recycling at home and, through their example, taught their parents and neighbors. Another initiative was the creation of the Free University for the Environment, offering courses on environmental issues not only for teachers but also for taxi drivers, managers, journalists, and any citizen in contact with others. In 1971, Curitiba had only half a square meter of green space per inhabitant. Today, it has 52 square meters per person. This process of change, supported by flowcharts, is exactly what is done in a total quality program. The continuous changes happening around us remind us that we cannot go against the laws of gravity or common sense. Even in times of great enthusiasm, we must always remember that when structural change is in sight, a revolution does not happen overnight. While we must stay on our planned path, we must also learn to adapt to the current wave of change, as we are all immersed in a great productive transformation that will continue for at least a couple of decades.
San Diego Global Knowledge University, Education Beyond Boundaries.